Hello and welcome to GC 360. I'm Brooke Wallace.
And I'm Hunter Marks. On this edition of GC 360,
we'll give you a tour of the Harrisburg community and why it's so important to Milledgeville.
And the anchors tour the scariest house in Middle Georgia.
All this and more on GC 360. Earlier this year, we brought you news about a new Habitat for Humanity program to help the Harrisburg community. Harrisburg is regarded as one of the poorest in Milledgeville. Now, we bring you a more in-depth look at Harrisburg and how it became the community it is today. GC 360's Terrell Davis took videographer Michael Cornwall on a tour.
The reason I brought you here is because this was one of Milledgeville's most prominent sources of work for many of the Harrisburg people. This is the old Central. This is part of the old Central State Hospital, and Milledgeville and a lot of people at the nursing program at Georgia College usually talk about this hospital as being a place where most of the nurses that graduate from the school attend or start working. But now, as you can see, a lot of the places have been closed because of the downturn in the economy, and because of this, it's been a trickle-down effect into Harrisburg. So most of those employees from here that lived in Harrisburg have lost homes, lost their job. They've reached that poverty level or below. If you take Harrisburg and make it a more cooperative or friendly environment for the younger generation, in the future, you will see a generational trend start to change. Because right now the generational trend is to lag behind society, to not want to do anything, to live off welfare. That's pretty much our mentality right now. And if you look at statistics or, pretty much anything, you'll realize that most of those students that are over there don't attend college. They don't even find Georgia College intriguing because it's in their community and they have such a big disconnect. Well, the elementary school that we looked at, Harrisburg Elementary School, was one of those places where they tried to advocate students to stay in Milledgeville and in the future try to contribute to their society. But most of those students, because of this closure, they were integrated into the rest of the school system of Milledgeville, and now they're starting to leave because that school is not there anymore. The influence of Georgia College has helped promote organizations like Habitat for Humanity. It's taking those students that aren't from here and kind of put them in this generational struggle that a lot of people have been suffering from, and putting new faces into this gets everybody to collectively join together and build up on, a lot of stuff that many people that live here feel that isn't a need to, advance. Trying to advocate the importance of community service is something that I think we could really, really pick up, and not just in the downtown area, not just on 441, but reaching out to the communities that are more impoverished, or even using recruitment. So I think Georgia College's role should be to, in a sense, recruit or become a liaison between the big divisions that are in Milledgeville.
Figures show close to 40% of Milledgeville residents live below the poverty line. That compares with about 22% statewide. Georgia College is working closely with Harrisburg to revitalize the community for mutual benefit.
A few weeks ago, we brought you the story of one Milledgeville resident, Walter Reynolds, running for city council. Well, city council elections are approaching. On November 5th, 6 new and returning city hall members will be elected. Reynolds is running unopposed, so we can be sure to see him in the District 4 seat representing the downtown area as well as Georgia College. Other candidates in Milledgeville, including incumbent Richard Boo Mullins Jr. for District 5, are not guaranteed their spot. New candidates Daniel McDonald and Pam Beer are also running for the District 5 spot. Keep an eye out for those elections, and we'll keep you posted as Election Day approaches.
Last week, I was walking on campus and noticed something just slightly off. Then I thought, oh, that shack next to Atkinson is missing. It turns out that the building is undergoing some significant changes, including some demolition.
Tyler Clementi was a freshman at Rutgers University when he committed suicide because bullying and homophobia proved to be too much for him to handle. 3 years later, his older brother, James Clementi, is on a mission, traveling to colleges, churches, and other organizations to tell his brother's story. Students had the opportunity to attend James Clementi's presentation on gay rights and college bullying. Reporter Betsy Lamb was there.
On October 24th, a special speaker visited the Georgia College campus. James Clementi, older brother of Tyler Clementi, came to share his brother's story.
His story and experience was one that was ended in tragedy. I do feel like there's a lesson in what happened to him that can be prevented. We can stop suicide from happening, and people can have amazing and fulfilling lives.
James now works for the Tyler Clementi Foundation, which is focused on creating broad impact in multiple areas through educational partnerships, public dialogues, and awareness programs. James was especially enthusiastic about visiting Georgia College.
I think it's especially important to be in Georgia, to be in the South, because I know that there's a lot of kids that are struggling, people that maybe don't feel like they can be totally out and be themselves at school.
He is hopeful that his brother's story will make an impact on the lives of the students here at Georgia College as well as those around the country.
It's really like putting your trust in that person, and in turn they're putting their trust in you, and that's really kind of the idea that we want to get across.
For GC360, I'm Betsy Lamb.
And when we come back, the other anchors and I toured the scariest house in Middle Georgia. The Pokemon franchise has been sweeping the nation since its latest video game title was released earlier this month. Reporter Sean Noah tells us more about the series and how Georgia College students use video games.
Do you want to be the very best, like no one ever was? Well, these guys do. With its own TV show, video game, and even card game, Pokemon has been a part of our lives ever since 1996 with its debut of Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue versions. I even have my own Pokemon Yellow version from back when I was a child here at college. Their newest installment, Pokemon X and Y, just recently had its big debut. People around the globe have been training their new Pokemon in 3D, and Georgia College is no exception.
It's pretty exciting. I haven't really been this excited about a game since the original Pokemon came out and I was a kid, which I think is good that they're getting back to some of the original material.
I didn't like at first how much they've changed it from previous Pokemon games, but it's really grown on me. I like the fact that you can move in not just X and Y directions.
There's never quite been a Pokemon game such as the new X and Y, because normally the Pokemon games are very 2D and very flat, and you'll just look at Pokemon from a bird's eye view. But with X and Y, they have created an entire 3D universe. And then there's things such as playing with your Pokemon out of game, which is called Pokemonomy. And what it is you can play with your Pokemon instead of just battling with it. Causes them to be a stronger, a better all-over Pokemon.
Since 1996, the video game industry has changed drastically, and with the next-gen consoles ready to debut this holiday season, there is no indication that it will slow down. According to the Wall Street Journal, approximately 58% of all Americans play video games, and that number is only expected to increase as time continues. But how will that affect students and their studies?
I'll have kind of been in my room playing it the whole time, so it's dropped. But I know a lot of my friends have also been off playing it too.
I actually haven't had a lot of time to play too often when I got into college. I had a packed schedule for a really long time, and I'm finally getting free time, and now I'm trying to play at least twice a week.
As far as like consoles or handhelds, a lot of people use it as a social method to get to know each other, and it kind of is a relaxing way without much talking or anything else that you can acclimate to new friends.
This college student uses video games as a way to connect with her fiancé, who is currently serving in the Navy.
My fiancé and I have about 600 miles between us right now. He's in the Navy, and it's not always easy, but we both have Xbox Live, and so we're able to play, like Grand Theft Auto, we could play together on it. And so Xbox and video games actually really help.
Even a video game that is considered violent helps bridge the distance between them. For GC360, this is Sean Michael Noah reminding you to be the very best, like no one ever was. Now back to you in the studio.
We're not done with gaming quite yet. Kira Crossan is here in the studio with the latest in smartphone games. Kira?
Thanks, Hunter. Do smart people always use smartphones for smart things? Of course not. Technology has given us organization and procrastination. There are some of the best, most addictive phone games. First, of course, there's Candy Crush. Candy Crush was originally a Facebook game created in early 2012, but later that year it was released for smartphone use. If you've never played Candy Crush, it works a lot like Bejeweled. You switch the candies around so there are 3 or more in a row. They disappear and you get points. Pretty simple, highly addictive. The oldie but goodie game, Words with Friends, seems so ancient, but it was only released in 2009. Words with Friends is essentially Scrabble on the go plus chat. Decipher words with random letters vertically and horizontally to rack up more points than your opponent. Words with Friends took old school Scrabble and made it the top played game in 2012 until Draw Something later took over. Words with Friends became so popular, Zynga released a board game in 2012. But, it's basically just Scrabble. In 2011, Temple Run took over smartphones everywhere. Sort of like Smartphone, Indiana Jones, you, the explorer, run from demonic monkeys inside the temple using your finger and screen movement to move your character. Temple Run becomes so popular, the company, Amanji Studios, released sequels to the game including Temple Run 2, Temple Guns, Temple Jump, and Pyramid Run, which are basically all the same as the original. Last but definitely not least, Angry Birds. Angry Birds has held the chart for most addicting games since its release in 2009. In case you haven't played it, basically, you just throw birds at things using your finger to angle them where you want them to go. Angry Birds is so popular, its developer, Rovio Entertainment, created actual video and PC games of it, as well as 7 special editions. Now we see Angry Birds on everything: pillows, jackets, toys, the list goes on. Now you know the best addicting games. Make sure to save some time for your homework. Back to you, Hunter.
One of those games I ever got into was Words with Friends.
Are you telling me you've never played Candy Crush?
I am proud to say I definitely never hopped on the Candy Crush bandwagon.
You're missing out on one of the best games in the world.
What level have you made it to?
I'm on level 324.
Oh, yeah, that's what they all say. Don't lie on camera. Come on. We all know that everything's great with Candy Crush. Thanks for that, Kira. We're going to take a short break, but when we come back, Nick Landon gives us the scoop on our Bobcat sports.
All right, guys, welcome back to GC360. I'm Nick Landon. Our athlete of the week, soccer midfielder Allie Berries, was able to chat with us about her passion for soccer and how she ended up here at Georgia College from her home on the other end of the country. Midfielder for the GC women's soccer team, Allie Berries, is a sophomore here at Georgia College. Berries is a long ways from her hometown of Ladera Ranch, California, but says she couldn't be happier with her decision to be a Bobcat.
Coach Hope saw me play at a Las Vegas tournament, and I had never heard of Georgia College before then. And I got home after the tournament and had an email from her, and she wanted me to come out and visit the school, see if I liked it. So I figured I'd swing by while I saw a couple other East Coast schools, and it just turned out that I really loved the school.
Although her parents and siblings are thousands of miles away, Berries doesn't get homesick often because of how close she is with her teammates.
Probably the closest with this team that I've ever been with another team, and just getting to know all the girls and all their personalities. It's just a fun time always being with them.
In addition to being a second family to Berries, she says the team's ambitious nature has made her stronger as an athlete, and this year's class of freshmen has brought a lot of talent and potential to the team.
They definitely have made me a better player to begin with because I had to fight for that spot on the field. So I think all the competitiveness that they brought this year made us a more competitive team in our conference.
And she has high hopes for the team's future.
Each year we're getting better, we're becoming closer as a family, and I know that all the new additions that are going to be added to the team are just going to make us that much stronger. We want to make it to that conference tournament, and we want to strive for that win in the conference tournament.
Berries says her teammates and her father continue to motivate her to be a better athlete during her time at Georgia College.
Everybody on the team just has kind of pushed me, and always, like, growing up, my dad was always a hard worker, and he was always out there on the field trying to make me a better player.
An exercise science major, Berries could see her passion for soccer one day translate to a passion for helping athletes reach the top of their game after she graduates college.
I want to work with athletes. I want to make them stronger as a player after their injury than they were before.
Athlete of the Week, Allie Berries has been an integral part of the GC women's soccer team and looks to stay that way for the remainder of her studies at Georgia College. Well, unfortunately, the Bobcats women's soccer team's last regular season home game is behind them and ended in a dissatisfying, albeit exciting, draw to Peach Belt opponent Montevallo. So if you want to catch Allie Berries and company in action, you'll have to make a trip to Americus to see them take on Georgia Southwestern this Wednesday at 3:30. They play their final game in St. Augustine, Florida this Saturday to wrap up their season in a decisive game to Flagler to keep Georgia College in the upper half of the PBC standings. In other news, Georgia College's newest addition to the athletics program, women's volleyball, is nearing the end of their slightly disappointing inaugural season. The Bobcats volleyball team has been losing heartbreakingly close games consistently throughout the season, so the young women that are a part of the team gotta feel a little disconcerted, currently holding a 4-19 record. But this is their very first year. In addition to coming close in several games against the big teams this season, the Cats are comprised almost entirely of freshmen, which raises high expectations for the volleyball's team's coming seasons. On a brighter note, Georgia College's intramural flag football teams have garnered statewide recognition from their recent performances. One Georgia College flag football team by the name of Hit Squad managed to make it to the state championship game in Athens, the first Georgia College team to do so since 2007. Hit Squad was the first runner-up to the state intramural title, topping off a great season for their team. The Georgia College Ultimate Frisbee Men's Club dominated their tournament last weekend, going undefeated and winning their tournament. The Cats appear to be an early favorite for a state championship in men's Ultimate Frisbee. Wednesday, October 30th at 5:30 p.m., you can catch the Bobcats baseball team playing a scrimmage in their Halloween costumes for the 4th annual Halloween on the Hill event. Kids can come out and get autographs from the team and will be the unofficial judges of the baseball team's costume contest. It'll be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss it. Tonight, you can see the Boston Red Sox attempt to fend off the St. Louis Cardinals in Game 6 of the World Series in a decisive 9 innings of baseball to determine the best team in baseball. That's all we have for sports this week, guys. Happy Halloween, and back to you.
Thanks for the scoop, Nick. When we come back, the anchors explore the most haunted house in Middle Georgia.
Welcome back to GC360. Halloween is upon us, and the midnight Shadowcast performance of Rocky Horror Picture Show is a Halloween tradition at Georgia College. GC360 reporter Lizzie Miller gets a behind-the-scenes look at the preparation and the people that make the show possible.
Besides Halloween, Georgia College's Rocky Horror Picture Show is one of the most anticipated events of the season. This is Rocky Horror's 6th year of being performed here at Georgia College, so GC360 decided it was time to see how the cast prepared for this out-of-the-ordinary show.
Let's do it!
Well, we've been preparing for the past 2 weeks, and it takes about a whole month of production to get ready for the show. It was actually my second time doing it, and it's even better the second time.
I get to come to rehearsal every night and just hang out with all my buddies and do the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
It's fun and it has audience interaction. It's really fun to just kind of jump into it and be part of everything, and everyone joins in.
Well, for people who have never seen a live Shadowcast before, they're considered virgins, and so the trainees will go across the audience before the show starts, before anybody ever comes into the theater, and they will mark their foreheads with bees.
you're like me and want to see what all the hype's about, come get marked with the honorary V at midnight on Halloween. For GC360, I'm Lizzie Miller.
Since Halloween is just around the corner, Milledgeville's tourism department is holding its annual Haunted Trolley Tour this week to celebrate. Our reporter, Lauren Bensman, takes us inside for a look at this haunted yet historic trolley ride.
Milledgeville Convention Visitors Bureau hosted its 13th annual Haunted Trolley Tour this year. The event features a full cast of characters, each portraying famous figures from the town's history.
I am portraying Mary Virginia Harrison, who it's rumored that she haunts the Harrison House down here, like you're going towards the dorms. It's right next to the Umber White House. So she was a resident here in Milledgeville, and she made her mark in many different ways. They are actually people that have lived in Milledgeville. Some died in Milledgeville, some killed people in Milledgeville, some lived in Milledgeville for a while and then went on and did bigger and better things. Oliver Hardy was actually at one point one of the ghosts on the tour. So it kind of ranges from people you don't really know and have never really heard of to big names.
The tour itself is supposed to be an interactive experience, engaging the audience at different historical spots along the way.
Tours like tonight, we will all be in the cemetery together. But normally, I get on the trolley and tell my story, and then do a little bit of the magic that, since Dixie's dead now, she has to be taken back to the dead where her grave is, and so I imagine being pulled off, kids like that.
Reporting for GC360, this is Kyle Shanahan.
That was Kyle Shanahan reporting. What better way to prepare for Halloween than a visit to an old haunted house? Your anchors here at GC360 found the courage to go inside one of the area's spookiest establishments.
This is probably the most terrified I've been in a while.
We are down at the Haunted Montrose in Montrose, Georgia.
We're going to take you behind the scenes to see all of the crazy, scary haunts.
Nick, come back.
Lifelong dream. That sounds like fun. Let's get started. In 2008, I finally put my foot down and said, hell, we're going to do this. We're an outdoor attraction plus an indoor attraction, so you kind of have a multi-level experience here, whereas other haunts kind of are just one or the other. It's kind of hard to put this kind of package together. And we go for more realism versus fantasy. So we try to put together more realistic scenes versus, fantasy scenes where you just have some goofy monster jumping out at you. We try to kind of base it on reality where, this could be a scenario you could wake up in, or this is a scenario you could actually see in real life.
I've had some courses at some of the haunt conventions. They're interesting. You meet people from all over the country, all over the world actually, and they have different seminars there and you can sign up for them. That's how I got my start.
That's really cool.
Trey sent me there to learn some techniques.
I work in the conveyor room where we have a lot of bodies, animals, everything hanging up. The conveyor goes round and around. It's very loud rock music, and it's extremely high energy. What we do is I work with a friend of mine, and we jump out and scare people, do anything that we can to get a reaction.
I know here we just butcher people, we kill people, The slaughterhouse is like the old one. We always keep them, we kill them, butcher them, da-da-da. Down there, the experimental is pretty much just the whole crazy house, they took over, the crazy people took over, and have it, 3D illusions, and then the ravens just black out. Just you can't tell which is real and what's fake.
I always consider myself as an improv actor because I can change my way into any thinking.
Here, I want to have a piece. How about you?
I actually gave one guy almost a heart attack, then gave another old lady almost a heart attack right in the slaughterhouse in my scene.
What are we going to do tonight?
Animatronics aren't scary, number one. The timing on animatronic can't be perfect to scare somebody, so An animatronic makes a good distraction for an actor to get a good scare. So we base our animatronics that way, is that you walk in a scene, you see something that's not real, that attracts your attention, and then the actor can come in and get a good scare. So here we try to have fewer animatronics and more actors, based on the size of our haunt.
Did you come and visit me?
Haunted Attraction Magazine is a magazine that's probably the oldest magazine in the industry. I'm sure it is the oldest magazine. We were on their list a couple of years ago, but at the very, very, very outer edge. And this year we were selected 10th on their top list of 31 haunts in the country.
Come on. Is this the best?
You can't bear the scare, fear not.
You can stop by the Scare-Free Zone to catch your breath.
And chill with Casper on the big screen.
We're here. We're really scared.
The Haunted Montrose.
We're at the Haunted Montrose.
You should come though.
It's getting real. We suggest everyone has to come and check this out. It's the craziest attraction in all of Georgia.
Reporting for GC 360, this is Hunter Marks.
Brooke Wallace.
Do you go by Pigman or Man Pig? Do you have a preference?
And Nick Landon.
I can't believe I'm saying this on air, but I was definitely very, very hesitant in going in that haunted house when we first got there.
Yeah, I think all of us were pretty terrified about that. I was, not wanting to do it, actually.
But the funniest part was that I was the one who ended up pulling you through it. So it just was a great time.
Thanks for that.
Make sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Tweet us pictures of your Halloween costumes with the hashtag GC360.
We'll pick up a winner to feature on next week's show.
That's it for us today. I'm Hunter Marks.
And I'm Brooke Wallace. You stay classy, Georgia College.